Hi everybody. My goodness, it's been a long time since I did one of these live videos, so I figure it's time to dust off the phone and do this again. And it was last night, I believe, that my son did something a little scary. He decided to catapult himself through the wall and not quite through the wall. He hit his head on the wall, and it wasn't actually so hard, but he was pretty upset about it. And hi, Rena. And yeah, it was pretty awful. He was screaming and crying very loudly, but that is not why I'm sharing this with you. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because he was so angry at the wall. He was like yelling at the wall that he was very, very upset with it, and he didn't understand why it would do that to him. And he was genuinely and earnestly upset and hurt by the wall. And it was like, oh, that's what we do when he did that. Because I believe that our lives, the way that they're set up, it sometimes appears to be a wall, and we get so angry at the wall, but it's actually much more. So, for example, I had a huge breakthrough in my own life where a woman who I totally perceived as like kind of aloof, maybe even cold, too perfect, not relatable, and all of her actions and all of her words, I would kind of like see that and tell myself a story about that woman who I was seeing. But really, it wasn't so fair because that wasn't necessarily an accurate description of who she was. And we all actually live in our own worlds of reality. Like what I perceive as being real and you perceive as being real, even if we're at the same place at the same time, could be two very different things. So I had the opportunity to go away for a few days, and it was a really awesome time because I could stop being analytical, which is what I'm prone to do, and just kind of be open and intuitive and creative. And this woman who I perceived as in the way that I just described, as really perfect and untouchable and always composed and really threatening to me, I guess is the best way to put it. She said something to me that I was so upset that she had said to me. It was like something that I perceived to be extremely offensive and like a huge knock on me. And I was like up all night losing sleep over it. And in the morning, I had this like revelation that was like, wait a second, there's a reason I just went through this experience and I don't know what it is, but there's a reason I went through it. I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm going to get up, I'm going to dust myself off, and I'm going to keep going. And then a day or two after that, I had the aha moment, like light above the head moment, where I was like, oh my gosh, this woman, I have created a fake human being that does not exist in this woman. This woman who walked into a class that I was teaching, and I immediately like shrank. If I could have physically shrunk, I would have, because she made me feel small when I would go be near her. So when she walked into a class I was teaching, I would like withdraw a little bit and feel incredibly threatened by her. And then when she said these words to me pretty recently, I was like so offended. And then all of a sudden I was able to break through all of that. I was able to break through that wall and realize that actually it was all my insecurities. It was all my fears, and they were just being externalized and put into this woman. And she had no idea. And I got to such a great place that I was actually able to tell her all of this, as humiliating as that might be. And her reaction was so kind. Like, I just shared with her from the heart that I was totally intimidated by her from the moment that we met, and that everything that she said and did made me second guess myself, and that she said things to me that were like maybe objectively pretty offensive, but I knew she certainly didn't mean them that way, and I took them far harder than I needed to. It was all a story I had created in my own mind about her and about myself that just was not real. Afterwards, I felt like I had like climbed a mountain or like conquered some huge, huge obstacle, because that's exactly what it was. The same way that my son was like screaming at this wall, I was like putting out my frustration and insecurity and fears onto this woman, onto this poor unsuspecting woman. So I was like so excited that I was able to walk through this wall of mine. I realized if I look around, everyone has walls, and I have so many more walls that I need to walk through. And God puts these walls in our lives so that we can walk through them. You know, it's funny, like in the Torah stories, all of our patriarchs and matriarchs and all the righteous people in these stories, they are already working under the assumption that everything was sent there by God for them in their story so that they could conquer whatever they need to conquer. We're not even there yet. We're not even looking at our situations and challenges in that way. We're looking at our situations and challenges and the difficult people in our lives and the things that were said to us that weren't nice as things that are really from them and not from God. And actually, it's entirely from God. And it's even creepier because it's almost like every single human being in your life is an illusion and it's just God speaking to you. So whatever challenges you're going through with someone, whatever problems you're encountering, whether it's with a human being or with a situation, I know it's really easy to say it and much harder to feel it, but I've experienced firsthand what it feels like to feel it. It's all from God and it's exhilarating. It's like the moment that my son is going to realize it's not the wall that's out to get him. And then suddenly he's going to be able to change the way he's playing so that he doesn't hit his head against that wall again. And that's exactly what it was like for me with this person. And I'll just add one thing, that professionally, in my professional life, when I'm speaking and writing and coaching, I work so hard. It's like an uphill working hard, like after hours, scrutinizing, strategizing, consulting with anyone who I can, writing things out, making meetings like with myself because there's no one to make meetings with. And it dawned on me that it doesn't have to be that hard. When we come from a place that's less analytical and more open, like just crack open the shell and let ourselves be open and just come from that place, that heartfelt place, life comes easier. We're able to see our illusions for what they are. We're able to work in a way that's more effortless and far more effective. It's like fascinating. And actually the other side bonus, and so the last thing I'm going to say is, the walls around your heart are going to melt when you're able to walk through those walls. You know, I had a group of people who I was like kind of holding a little bit of a grudge against, even though I kept saying I had forgiven them. But you know, in my professional life, I kept a guard up, and recently I just let it melt. I just let it all melt away, and I was able to just flow with love and affection and gratitude toward those people. And I see that the people around me are affected by this and they feel it too. And I'm noticing my life changing as a result. So I don't know what kind of walls you have up, but please believe that they are self-imposed, whether it has to do with a relationship or it has to do with a goal, it has to do with weight loss, has to do with career, has to do with whatever it is self-imposed, and it's there to guide you to say, this is the message God is trying to talk to you through. And it's easy for me to say it, but it's a whole lot different for me to do it. But I can tell you, having conquered one mountain, I am so excited to conquer more. Okay, I'll talk to you all later.